Hello, good afternoon. It is January 19th, and this is Three Things with Ian. If this is your first episode, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. Good to see you. My number one recommendation for today is a book I just finished reading, my second book of the year, Come and Get It by Kiley, Reid. It's a book that explores a visiting professor to the University of Arkansas. She's kind of like an anthropologist in that she writes like ethnographic books regarding money and weddings and kind of young adults and how they navigate the world. And so she employs a couple students from a dorm to kind of work through how they envision weddings and money. And she sort of employs a resident assistant, an RA. They end up having a relationship, and it kind of explores the power dynamics between students and professors and money and desire and sort of the complexities of college life. I'm not sure how this book got on my list initially. It must have been recommended on some book list. I did enjoy it. It's a 350-odd page book. As mentioned in Things to Say, I do recommend it. That is Come and Get It by Kiley, Reid. I will add that to the show notes. My other recommendation for today is a movie. It's called A Real Pain. I imagine this went into theaters briefly, at least. It's Jesse Eisenberg wrote and directed it, and it stars himself and Kieran Culkin, Macaulay's younger brother. It's funny because both characters are basically playing what they always play. Eisenberg is kind of a neurotic, uptight, just very high-strung individual, and his cousin is played by Kieran Culkin. And essentially, for my Succession fans out there, this is essentially literally a poor man's version of Roman from that program. So it's basically these cousins, their grandmother died, and she left behind some money for them to go to essentially a trauma tour, a tour in Poland to kind of explore her upbringing, the house she grew up in. They were Jews that survived the Holocaust, and sort of they have this cultural legacy they need to unpack. And obviously Eisenberg's character and Culkin's character are completely different on the spectrum. Really good dialogue. There's a tour guide, and he has some issues, and they kind of work through stuff, and it's a really sweet movie. After I watched it, I really enjoyed it. I was reading that it has some early Oscar buzz. 90 minutes. It's called A Real Pain. I will add that into the show notes. I really enjoyed it. Takes place obviously in Poland. They visit a concentration camp. They sort of unpack the cultural legacy of what it means to be a survivor, what it means to be a town in which tourists come and buy coffee and wine and beer and then go and do these trauma tours. And so there's some dark comic irony. Very, very good film. Recommend it highly. So my number two recommendation is A Real Pain, written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg. You know him from everything from Social Network to playing, unfortunately, Lex Luthor in that one film. We won't talk about that. My third recommendation is something that I think we could all just spend just a few minutes exploring our world. I just cannot recommend atlases enough. If you have 10 minutes and you want to just learn something new about this incredible planet we live on, just pick up an atlas, poke through it. I recently learned just how far east South America is from North America. Essentially, it's one of those things where I read that, from essentially Michigan over, if you draw a line down, it's all ocean, right? So just interesting factoids always emerge. As much as you know about the world, it's kind of fun sometimes to read more about it, and I love those visual things. I like looking at maps, just exploring different places, Mercator projections versus other ways maps are displayed, and how data is it's just very fascinating to me. So I was thinking of a third thing today. I picked up the atlas, I looked through it, and I was like, okay, this is bringing me pleasure, this is bringing me happiness, this is bringing me joy. I'm learning about the world we live in. Sometimes it's just fun just to pick up an atlas, poke through it. You will always find something new. I'm going to leave you with a quote, too, that I heard from a recent podcast that I want to pull up to make sure I'm quoting it correctly. Remember, if you're bored, you're boring. Just let that sit, let that sit. If you're bored, you're boring. Maybe I shouldn't have had that extra emphasis on the end there, but basically just think about that phrase, how it resonates. It resonates with me very deeply because there's so much interesting things all around us. The second we're bored, we got to be like, okay, let's get going. Let's get energized. Let's find something. Let's get back on track. Anyway, this has been Three Things with Ian. That was a book recommendation, a movie recommendation, and pick up an atlas. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.